A little bit of both. So going into the National Collegiate Women's Wrestling Championship, the NCWWC, there's been times where it's team focused in practice, and then there's times where it's individually focused. Marissa and Dalia, they're prime examples of some individual things we've been working on, some individual matchups, knowing what our pre-seeds are going into the tournament, who we should match up in the quarterfinals, semis, and eventually the finals. So we kind of go that way. But then there's things as a team we all need to focus on and get on. So we've been kind of splitting time up in practice. Today was we played some team handball today, individual drill for about 35, 40 minutes, and then some parterre for about 10, 15 minutes. And again, let the girls just kind of choose what they wanted to work on. Myself and Coach Mendoza just walking around making sure that they were getting some points of emphasis to focus on in those areas.
And then just looking at the tournament, what are your first thoughts? Seeds coming out today, you had your call today. First thoughts on it?
I'm excited. At the end of the day, regardless of seeds or anything, this is an opportunity as a tournament as a whole. This is the precursor to the eventual NCAA championship for women's wrestling. So being able to be a part of that first tournament, here as a program last year, we had a lot of first-year history, a lot of first things to happen, a lot of history in that sense, being the program's first. We could kind of do that again in year two, being the first at this tournament, kind of help kick-starting that. I'm excited. I'm not competing, but I'm excited. I love competing. I love being able to be in the corner and coaching wrestling. The girls look sharp. They're ready to go, and I think we're going to perform where we need to perform. We're going to step up to the plate. I really feel that we can have 13 All-Americans. Every single girl that goes this weekend has an opportunity to be an All-American, is stepping out on the mat, performing at their very best. Pre-seeds, they are what they are. They're just numbers. At the end of the day, what really matters is how we perform as individuals in the match, and the numbers at the end of the day matter the most.
Questions?
Girls, you've seen probably everybody you're going to see this week during the season, with the schedule you've wrestled. You feel like you're as prepared as you could ever be for who you're going to face?
Yeah, I think I'm prepared. I come into Travis's office, I've gone over, looking at my tape, seeing what I've messed up on and fixing certain little tweaks just to be at my best for nationals. So I feel like I'm very prepared to go against whoever's in my way to get to the finals.
For me, I feel very prepared as well. I go through video for hours at a time sometimes after a tournament, like on the bus rides back. And for me, it's just believing in myself and making sure I get to my moves, not necessarily worrying about my opponents so much, but just getting to my offense. That's probably the biggest thing for me. But also just going out there and having fun and not putting pressure on myself. Overall, I feel very prepared, and I feel like every practice we have had leading up, every practice we've had this season has had intention in some way to better us.
And, it's been a long season, but now you're getting to, this big competition. What's the energy level? And it sounds like the focus is there. What's the energy level and getting ready for this tournament after a longer season like that?
So my energy level personally, I've noticed I've had some ups and downs throughout the season with minor injuries. I've been sick twice in the middle of the season with strep throat. And during those times, it was hard to just stay positive. But, once I got through it, I've had, the best practices after those days. So for me, it's just, I just got done being sick. So now I'm, feeling really good going into a national tournament. And I just think overall the season has its ups and downs, but you just need a peak at the right time, which will be this week.
My energy, as I quote, big dog energy, big dog season. So I think, I feel like after the U.S. Open was my point of it was hard. It was hard going from high school to college. So I feel like that time period was me getting to know the transition from high school to college. And so now after the U.S. Open, I feel like my energy was, U.S. Open, Chihuahua season. And then after that, big dog season, everything kind of clicked. And I was like, okay, we're in college now. I need to get it together. So I feel like my energy has really been, improved a lot.
It's been a lot of fun. I think we've been keeping it loose in practice. I told one of the girls the other day, hey, you need to cut your head off, right? We can't we're done thinking. Just go out and wrestle. The hard work's done. I think I'm really just trying to keep it loose in practice. We haven't really put emphasis on it. Yeah, it's the national championships. Everyone's like, oh, the nationals. It's another tournament. We still put the same CMU singlets on. We're still tying our shoes the same way. We're just facing someone at a different tournament, at a different location we haven't been in. So we've really kind of taken the de-emphasis of like the prestige of the tournament, and it's just another time to go out and compete and be thankful for that opportunity.
What's been the biggest wins for you guys? Your biggest dual wins or biggest tournament wins? Obviously, the McHenry wins were pretty fun, but for you guys personally, what's been the biggest highlight so far?
I think mine was Emma Brentil beating her at McHenry Duel. I feel like I've been striving for trying to beat the best, and I feel like when I beat her, it was kind of like, okay, I'm up there. I know I'm at that level. I know I can beat people. I know I'm up there with them too. So I feel like that was my biggest win of this year.
For me personally, I think some of like my big wins were at the U.S. Open. I had no idea what I could do at that tournament, but I went in, just had fun, didn't care who was put in front of me. Wrestled an Olympian, ended up beating her, which was pretty cool. And then the rest of the season for me, it's just, that's my mentality, is just go out there, have fun. It doesn't matter who's in front of you. Just wrestle your match and get to your stuff. Could be the best person in the world. It doesn't matter. Just try to wrestle your best match.
And then, so you guys have wrestled some of the top wrestlers, top talent in the nation. How do those wins and losses help prepare you and keep you calm when you get to this tournament?
I feel like when I wrestled Emma, I like really saw like, okay, I can do this on her. I can't do this on her. So I kind of went back on film and I went over and saw my flaws and saw what I didn't succeed in, and I kind of like went in the room. I've worked on what I could and couldn't do, and I feel like if I could do it on her, I could do it on anybody. So I kind of just kept working and until I build up my confidence to do whatever in a match.
For me, it comes down to film too. For me, it's just the minor techniques of just fixing my hand fight a little bit and just getting to my offense just a little bit more and scoring one more time than they do. And for me, I've wrestled everyone that I know I will meet up with at the national tournament. I've had some losses against them, but it's not like I wasn't in the match with them. I feel confident that I could beat anyone who is placed in front of me this weekend. And part of it just comes down to just I've made those minor adjustments through film and my coach and just looking it over myself and practicing it and visualizing it. And I just feel like it's going to be a fun tournament.
Coach, is that the overall vibe? You just enjoy yourselves, have fun, because wrestling can be one of the most nerve-wracking sports ever. 10 minutes before a match, and your stomach is churning, and it's just, sometimes people enjoy that, and people hate that, but are you feeling good about how the team's overall vibe is going this weekend?
I feel good. I mean, I tell the girls, like, I think of this, something I learned a long time ago from when I was competing, and then from my grad school with, I had one of the best sports psychology consultants as one of my professors. They always used to say, like, if you don't feel those butterflies, like, something's wrong. Like, and you have to take those butterflies, and we talk about this a lot. You can trigger that response as a negative response or a positive response. And we always talk about nervous and anxious. I'd rather be anxious, because anxious is a positive word, nervous is a negative word. So we talk a lot about that, taking those butterflies and making it anxious. I'm anxious to compete. I'm ready to compete. Are they nervous? Yeah, sure. Everyone gets nervous. It's a fight. You know, there's no other sport where minus like UFC or boxing, but there's no other sport where you're standing toe to toe with somebody and you're about to fight them. Of course you're going to have that nerves. It's a matter of the girls learning how to take that response and turn it into a positive response rather than it being nervous. It's anxious. I think anxious means I'm excited. I'm ready to wrestle. So, we always talk about that, where you should be grateful to be out there competing, having that opportunity, having fun. Right? Wrestling's fun. Right? Why did we start wrestling? We always go back to that why. Before the beginning of the year, I asked all the girls, hey, write down one word that was going to define your season. Everybody told me the other day, go back and look at that word and see if that word is where you're at. And if you're not, you still have time to change that. We still have that opportunity. So again, it's just reminding them that things are positive, positive self-talk. We talked about it in the room the other day. It was like, instead of saying, hey, don't shoot with your head down, it said shoot with your head up. Right? Negative phrase, don't shoot with your head down. Negative, don't. You start thinking don't, your head starts going down, right? Shoot with your head up. Very positive. There's no negative connotation. Now you're thinking head up, driving through that. So we've been really kind of keeping things positive, getting rid of negative words or emotions or connotations to anything.
We asked the guys this earlier this year, and I know Coach Mendoza works with you guys too. What's he meant to your guys' training?
I love having Coach Mendoza around as a, if you will, second-year head coach. Yeah, I was an associate head coach before, but having both Coach Mendoza and Coach Pfeiffer around, I use it as an opportunity for me to learn. Coach Mendoza has 10-plus years of coaching experience on me, so I love picking his brain, asking him questions, and I think having him around has been grateful for the girls in a time that I really stand out in the sense of that learning something from him was at the U.S. Open, where I was making a decision kind of hastily in the sense of thinking long-term, and he was like, hey, let this happen. Trust me. He's not trust me, but hey, let this happen. Let it play out. And I kind of learned something from that where I didn't see, I was so narrow-minded in the sense that I was looking long-term and like, well, I don't want this to happen long-term. We got more things, and he was just, let it happen. And it worked out in both mine favor, the athlete's favor. So again, I look to him that I can learn a lot from him. It's not so much, yeah, I'm a head coach, I've done this and this. Like, it's an opportunity for me to learn.
Yeah, I love, I call Coach Mendoza San Diego, and I call Coach Pfeiffer Chuck E. P. But I love them both. I feel like they bring our energy up a lot. I always sit down, sit by his office. I always talk to him. They always give me motivational talks. I appreciate their energy and the, mindset and everything they bring to our team.
For me personally, having Coach Mendoza for the first time, coaching our corner probably at the U.S. Open was a game changer for me. During warm-ups, I drilled a move 20 times on him just to make sure I was doing it right. The next thing you know, I weigh in, compete the next day, and I hit that move on almost every match. And it was just a game changer. Just the littlest slight adjustments mean the world for me right now. And he's just able to really think about things and find details that I need to emphasize a little bit better in my wrestling. And I just love having him help out and love picking his brain because he has a lot of wrestling intelligence.
Best assistant coach on campus. I'll say it right here.
Okay. Question of the week.
Okay, good.
Not
Because it's after season, I have to ask this question to people that are in season. It's out of your guys' season, so money's not an issue. Where would you go for spring break?
I'm going first.
Because it's out of season, I'd like to take my wife somewhere. We haven't had a vacation since our daughter was born,
You
so.
can go to Brazil this summer, so pick somewhere.
I don't know, probably Europe somewhere. I don't know, I've always wanted to go, Russia. I know Russia's not Europe, but Russia or Italy, somewhere like that. Greece. I think Greece would probably be my top choice. Maldives. I don't know. Somewhere tropical where it's warm and the water's clear blue, for sure.
I'm thinking, maybe Bora Bora. I'm thinking maybe Hawaii. I just trying to be somewhere tropical so I can wear my summer clothes and look cute. Not be in winter clothes because it's a little cold over here. California girl.
For me, I would like to bring my family and I to Florida, and I would like to go to Miami, Florida, and bring my family back to this place called Kitsy Side Judo Club and just get a judo practice in. That would be great. I keep seeing their posts, and some days I've really missed my judo background, and that would be fun for me.